Yo, yo, what's poppin'? Long time no see. Let's review some Zarya gameplay, lads. We got 4 total replays by Rutzou. I don't know if I'm gonna go ahead and watch all of them. There's only 1 total loss here. That's gonna be this first one right now. A little bit of a spoiler alert, I know. But we're pulling up in here. What I noticed in the other games that we've yet to watch here, though, is that Rutzou has a ton of synergy with the other games, or like something specific that he's trying to counter, but I'm not 100% just looking at this what he's going for. So this is against 30k. I've played with and against these guys before, just in ladder, against them in tournaments, and these guys are no joke. It was hard even finding a single Zarya loss from Rutzou, but that it was against these guys makes perfect sense. These guys are cracked at the game. What I'm wondering is about if the early game macro is kind of rough on the side of Rutzou, though. You would kind of just assume through the fact that because she has an AoE Q, and because she has an AoE auto attack, that she might have good wave clear, but it's actually way less effective than you'd normally think. I'm a little surprised by the decision to actually stay on wave here and not look for any energy from this tower. I guess he completely trusts his Together We Are Strong at 1. To my understanding, Rutzou really likes Together We Are Strong in general. Terrible win rate in Storm League. Terrible win rate myself when I've tried to use it as well. But when you're constantly playing with your teammates and they're actually hitting stuff, it just pumps you energy like nothing else. Probably gonna throw it, yeah, I was gonna say there on the Mei. Didn't really get the offensive part, but just look, didn't even burn through half of the personal shield and just already at 100 from 0. Like, you can see the power of that talent kicking in right there. And it puts people on a timer where they feel compelled to walk away from you if you're a high energy Zarya. Let's see, let's actually look at this from his perspective. So, not gonna have that fully zoomed out. Yeah, see, that's what you're gonna find yourself doing a lot in any Zarya game, is walking way up, being on the opposing side of the lane, taking damage from those towers, getting a little bit of damage, a little bit of free energy there. What is Zarya's last name? Her last name is Zarya Nova. I think her name is Alexandria Zarya Nova, if I remember correctly. That's 2 different HOTS characters in 1. Nova's name isn't even Nova, it's November. But I will say, there's something that I felt a lot when I play Tychus that I'm starting to feel when I watch this game right here. And it's that when I'm Tychus, I really want my team to hold the other team still, so that I can sit there and auto attack. We see all these times where she just like hits somebody for a few hundred, but then they just walk away and that's it. And of course, you know, controlling the space is nice, but the kill pressure isn't really there as a result. That's a nasty position and body block by Cattle, though. Yeah, this is something that that I feel like it's really easy for me to get punished by, is like if I'm playing a character that doesn't have an easy escape, and then I'm against all this stuff that just repositions me like Maiev and Diablo, you're overconfident for like a moment, and then all of a sudden you just can't escape anymore from something that looks like relatively normal positioning. Did he have shield when he baited that over? I guess it didn't matter if he used the shield on the jump because he ended up burning through it all anyway. You know, I'm really surprised as I watch this how long he sat on that shield right there. Like, did we notice that? Because he was sitting on like 50 energy when he could have shielded before the thing even jumped and gotten a ton of Together We Are Strong value. But I guess he was just saving it for the first person to actually get PvP'd by, and if he does a little less DPS, it's worth it. I'm gonna assume anytime where I'm like, oh, I would have done something differently, I'm gonna assume that Rutzou did the correct thing and that I need to figure out why I'm wrong. You know, like, Cav, his approach was always to identify the people that just really grinded the crap out of a character and ask them everything. And you know, that's a really reasonable approach to things, right? Like, there's stuff you only learn when you're playing a character after just putting in hundreds of games. Something I started doing to make my wave clearing go a lot faster more on Zarya is that I'd stand to the side of the wave so that I could first pierce through all the melee and then pierce through all the ranged minions. And I'm noticing that Rutzou doesn't really do that. And every time I think to myself whether or not he should be doing that, I think no, it would probably put him in dangerous position to move to the side of the wave and open up those Diablo wallbang angles a lot easier. I question if he could have gone for auto attacks on the Diablo there. It looked like he was kind of content to just sit back and poke with Qs. Because, like, does queuing the wave even clear it really that much faster in that scenario? Whereas, like, if you're in a really low-risk situation, just cleaving? It's like, I feel like I would have already cast E to get energy here, but he really holds it to save people, it looks like. Maybe that was my problem with TWAS, is that I was letting it bait me into pressing my shield when it isn't necessarily needed, is what I'm thinking. Yeah, he's gonna have a shield for the Mei right there. You're just gonna tank the Diablo face or lightning breath for sure, yeah. High energy, shield coming up soon, of course he was gonna do that. And I'm curious what you guys notice as well as we go on this. I'm just one guy, I got a limited perspective. I'm trying to stream, I'm trying to talk to chat and think about my own Zarya games as we go through this. I guarantee y'all I'm gonna miss some of the nuance that goes on in this game, about Zarya or not. You know, we're all just here to learn. And if you think you spot something that we can learn from, then hell yeah. See, like right here, for example, I feel like I would have gone for auto attacks here every time, but I guess the presence of the Maiev makes that a lot trickier, where you're potentially opening up the resets, you're maybe going to get pulled in as well, like I was talking about, in a position that you think looks safe, and then all of a sudden you're getting chain displaced. But like my thought process as I was watching that teammate die was, none of them are looking at me, so can't I go in and get some free hits? It's a shame. That looked almost like, can I zoom out? Oh, I can still zoom out while I'm in his individual perspective. Wonderful. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, very, very useful when you're watching a replay, you can double tap the numbers to actually see where that player had their camera and what they were clicking on. Like, you can see those green arrows on the ground. We can actually see Rutzou's right-click inputs if you double tap the number associated with him. And that unstop at 13, I wonder, with the addition of that, if we're going to see him start to feel more comfortable going into those auto attacks and those movements, because I'm certainly noticing this game that he is, in so many instances, stepping back and not hitting when I would have gone for a hit, and not being as aggro with his E usage as I would be. Do you use them to save, or do you use them do you save them to try and get energy? Yeah, because I'm way more in the camp of using my E when I do pick this talent, this level 1, Together We Are Strong, to get energy. Like right here, for example, we're not pressing it on that wave, but I feel like we were just clearing a camp right next to our own wall. Surely we could have spent our E cooldown in that moment to get some energy and then had it available for the next fight, right? Well, like I said, whenever there is a difference between me and Rutzou, I am going to go I am wrong, and Rutzou is almost assuredly right. Okay? My lifetime win rate on Zarya and SL is like 50%, although, interestingly enough, a lot of that is dragged down by the period of my Zarya career where I was picking this level 1 talent. And as soon as I started getting that feel of heat, that globe, you know, it all started to go my way. I play for 50 hours a week, but I'm still bad. Thoughts? It's hard for me to flame you for this, because it's not like I've ever been good. Like, we're both just swimming down here in the sewage, and am I supposed to be like, ha, this guy's stinky? Like, brother, I just fought a rat to the death. We've all been in this situation as Zarya, where you're just trying to do something independently and you actually deal negative damage. Like, fun fact, when Zarya has 0 energy, she actually heals the minions when she auto-attacks them. That's how little damage she does. I'm also a little surprised not using Q to ward this bush. You've got all the full charges. I'm not sure that dismounting is such a grave problem. Like, maybe the idea is, like, if your Hanzo gets gone on, then you need to be able to rotate out, or, like, they try to somehow immediately kill you as soon as you get off your mount to Q. I feel like I would have given into the temptation to Q leftward there while she was waiting. Is there an expulsion angle here with everybody in this hallway? See, I feel like I would have ripped expulsion there. Like, I am just so... I feel so impulsive with my abilities when I watch him here, because he is so patient. Ooh, the Hogger spin right there. That was good. Guys, is Nintori like a full-time offlane main now? Because I know I've seen him play a lot of it, and he was one of those players that I was talking about who had like 3,000 games of Chen, despite being a healer main at the time that I played with him. Surely there's an expulsion here with the Wombo and the engage. No? He's almost dead. Surely, there it is. I feel like that was a little bit late that time, but I'm not 100% about that. I want to go ahead and watch that back. I'm trying to not sit here and pause, because I have terminal pause syndrome. when I review a replay. So I'm not trying to succumb to that too much, but I do want to go back and look at this fight because it kind of just, I didn't really see a lot going on. So we get the containment disc is burned there. Maiev jumps over the wall. Mei's gonna build a little energy for Zarya. We give a couple Q resets to this Maiev, but it's worth it because it maxes out our energy, although it does chunk the shit out of Caesar. I like the Q for a little bit of poke, just because it gets your cooldown rolling when it otherwise wouldn't be. Caesar's back up, so we're pretty much even in stats right now. Not a lot of value out of that self-shield. I'm a little surprised that around this moment there isn't like maybe something towards the mouth of this entomb, for example, that would keep cattle like towards the Mei stun. It would keep the Leoric off of following up on the entomb. Like, this is just my first instinct of where I would put the expulsion here. Yeah, it just walks up and gets entombed. I don't know, I imagine he was probably holding W that whole time, but just the combination of the Lornado and the entomb acted as a sort of pseudo wind tunnel. Is the third 16 just bad? If by the third 16 you mean gain train, from what I can tell, Cleansing Shield to me just seems like probably what you would pick every time. My mouse is if you ever see my mouse just completely pause in place, it's probably dead. But just my read on it, layman that I am, is that Cleansing Shield seems like the pick in comp almost every time, if not every time. I run a lot of Zarya in Globe comp though, because she has... she's one of two characters in the game other than Zarya herself who has two different talents that directly mention regen globes as something they synergize with in her 1 and 4. And so when I'm going that kind of build where I know I'm just going to be sitting on high energy all the time and looking for supremely high uptime fights, then yeah, I like Born in Battle. But if I'm not in that specific situation, then it feels like it's nearly always Cleansing Shield. Yeah, I mean, I just look at this team and I wonder, is part of the sauce against Zarya to pick displacement and to pick things that make it hard to retreat? Because, you know, at least 2 of his deaths so far have been kind of stepping forward and then just not being able to actually walk backwards out of that position. It's gone on by here. Still no usage of the expulsion until pretty damn far into it. Yeah, like, I'm wondering, is there an element of like Euro ping miscommunication that's possibly going on here? Because this is CCL. Rutzou's a European player, so he would have had at least 100, probably 130 plus if I had to guess ping. Because the easternmost server in the United States is in the central United States, rather than on the East Coast, which would be more beneficial to European players. But like, do things like Force Wall and Entomb, and especially Maiev is what I'm thinking about, because I know as a Tracer player, I love going into Maiev and just being able to dodge everything that she does. I'm too shifty for her. She really, in my mind, punishes those immobile melee characters. And Zarya, maybe she's technically ranged, but like, to me, maybe, am I weird here to think that she feels like a melee character with a really long range, and thus would fall into the same sort of pitfalls when you're against a Maiev? How is competitive fair if one team has 130 ping? Because the team that has lower ping, those are the NA players. So it actually still comes out ahead for the 130 ping players, if you ask me. Like, those guys clearly still have the advantage. But that was the one Zarya loss. Everything that we're going to see here from here on out is complete wins. I think because of her turret nature, she's essentially melee. That's what I'm saying. Maiev, Diablo, and Leo don't really let Zarya get value from AA and punish her stagnant positioning. Yeah, I'm wondering, was Zarya early picked in that game? What I think about when I'm playing Zarya is just, are we comfortable playing Zarya's ideal playstyle, which is usually to push a lane down, to be on the enemy side of the lane, you know, so that we can take advantage from my push damage and from the free energy that we get from the enemy buildings, things like that. Let's go ahead and look at this Rutzou with Malf game right here. So big thing I want to say immediately, and it's why I put it in the title for this one, is just that for me, Malfurion is one of those heroes that just is amazing. He feels so nice when you can actually get away with drafting him. When you have all of that sustain healing, when you have the offensive root follow-up on your team, that itself is essentially 2 layers of CC in the competitive environment, and you're picking that Emerald Dreams. And I say that because, you know, people talk to me, people know me, they know I like to pick SL talents, stuff like Treant. But when you're actually in that comp environment, making your root turn into a stun as well on the follow-up, it's just nutty. Malf is just so incredibly weak to enemy burst damage. That is the big thing about him. He feels amazing when you can get away with having one. But how often can you actually get away with having one? So then when you pick up something like a Zarya, that just helps compensate so much for that issue. This is something that was first pointed out to me by Cav on one of his shows, probably a good 6 years ago now, good lord. But also, as I actually get into this game and I look at the matchups that we're up against this time, we noticed the Anubarak, and this is something that Greffer's been harping on when I talk to him lately. It's just that Anubarak is 2 things, okay? He is really predictable single target damage in that, you know, you see him go in and charge onto one of your allies, all of his follow-ups right there. What do you think he's gonna do? He's probably about to stun again, and they're about to continue going on that guy. But also, he's really tanky versus mages, versus that spell armor, or things that he can mitigate with that spell armor. But into auto attacks, that bug just crumples, man. Zarya's got raid in that gun right there. And so this matchup can really start to feel miserable for the Anubarak in a hurry. I see 1 minion getting missed there. I guess that's just an acceptable loss. But it's going to be another Together We Are Strong game from the Zarya here. And I think that just this enemy pressure is going to be a lot easier to read and a lot easier to respond to as a Zarya player here. I was talking earlier, you know, I want to feel comfortable with my team playing Zarya's game plan. I want to feel comfortable with her awkward wave clear. I want to feel comfortable maybe playing for death balls and for pushes. I want to feel comfortable standing still to auto attack. And this game feels a lot more comfortable in that another major thing that I'm looking for is that telegraphed damage. Things like Thrall when he roots. Things like Li Ming when you see an ability coming. Things like a Nubarak when you see him charging in. To me, telegraphed enemy damage is one of the big signs that I'm going to be able to consistently get shield value. And good God, they melted that ETC. See, this is something, hold on, I need to actually go back and watch this, because I'm like, this looks to me, if they know they're going to make this play, doesn't the Zarya just Q this bush every time? Because this is what I was saying earlier, Zarya was camped out right here, and shouldn't we have just done the same thing where Zarya was on our mount here and I was like, don't you queue the bush in this scenario? Here, don't you definitely queue the bush every time? I want to go ahead and look at this because maybe the cooldown situation just isn't looking super favorable. But this is also why I was mentioning last game, I was like, yo, you're in these situations where you're already getting like cleave auto attack value and the thing that you're on is already going to die soon, be it like a minion wave or a camp. In my mind, I'm like, shouldn't I save those Qs in case I need them, rather than marginally speeding up my wave clear, so this way I have them for the kill pressure and for the vision and everything. Also, I've been seeing everybody coming in saying, hi, howdy, you're back, everything. I appreciate it. Know that I'm not ignoring you. All right, hey, thank you so much. It is good to see all of y'all. Like, even right here, we have a Q charge available. I feel like this goes on the enemy bush every time. Am I wrong? Yeah, I'm not ignoring most of you, but I am ignoring you, Trevor. So I guess if there was a dude named Trevor watching, oh, he freaked out when he heard that. And here, yep, I was about to say he did it instantly. He must have pressed the button before he was even in range. I was gonna say here you shield the Jaina for energy off the wave. I would probably W, yep. And then we're maxed out right there, baby. Oh, I think what Rutzou might have wanted to do was aggro the camp and then walk backwards. This is something that you should do, particularly, I'm sure there are other camps where this comes up as well, but particularly these siege camps on shrines and sapper camps on Towers of Doom, if you start them and then walk away a little bit so they all have to walk towards you to get into auto attack range, then what this does is that it clumps them all together and it lets you do better cleave damage to them, better ability damage. And I think Rutzou was trying to do that and then get the auto attacks to hit all three of the things. But Dino was just holding it in place. I see, like right here, I would have E'd an ally already, and yeah, there it is. I guess he was really holding it because he waited for the Blizzard cast to come out and then pressed it. That is unfortunate though. Great aggro by the enemy team, but we can just see that complete lack of escapability. It seems like 13 is such a big deal. You know, because that looked like a different game post 13 with the unstop. And I have a feeling, just looking at this enemy team here, I would want the unstop every time, I feel like. And Zarya has great 13s. Like, I find myself in SL games picking Pain as temporary, which is just a huge shield really often, but in these comp environments, it would not surprise me if you want to lean more into that unstop. That's a dead Malf as well. No? Wow, I thought that Umbral Bind would last just a little bit longer. That is crazy, actually. But now Dino just... Wait, hold on. The level 7 Ice Flows is crazy. Because in my mind, you know, I'm still HGC pilled, right? So I'm watching that, and I'm like, that Jaina's gonna run out of cooldowns. But no, he just walks up and then Ice Flows and gets all those E-casts and just shreds them. That's super good. Like in taking a moment to walk under the fort there to get the aggro. I like walking... Oh, it looked like he wanted to cleave onto the whole minion wave, but decided not to. And again, you saw how the Maev's E right there, it's predictable damage, like I was saying a second ago, where you know he knew it was coming at him, so he could get another source of energy there. You know, what I'm wondering, guys, does anybody know? Right here, Cleansing Shield. Remove all disabling effects from an ally. If my ally is getting Cassia Valkyried, and I press this on them, does it cancel the pull? And like, I feel like if you don't know how weird that ability is, you'd be like, of course not, of course it doesn't do that, Mockery. But like, Valkyrie in particular is really weird in that like, if Lunara abolished magic someone who's getting pulled, I'm pretty sure it cancels. Am I spreading misinformation with that one? I'm pretty sure it cancels, right? Love the willingness to go for the dive, but now we're very split away from our Jaina. And I question our ability to get kills here. With the Malf is clearly out of root range. This, to me, this just screams greed, right? Like we're right next to a Maiev. We're 3 melee that are really easy to get resets on. Like I don't think, in my mind, as soon as the Jaina was split, nothing was going to happen there. But maybe we can bait them into an expulsion play when they step into one of these hallways. Oh yeah, we just saw that Stukov burn his E. I feel like he should be sprinting at them, right? To get the expulsion play on the Stukov? Like, shouldn't he have been going down right here? The expulsion onto the Blaze in particular, because like, yeah, we just read the Cocoon here, yeah. So what I tell people is like, Blaze in particular, he struggles at just going through stuff more than I think like any character in the game. Like, your E is telegraphed. You might as well write them a letter and slap a stamp on that bad boy and put it in your mailbox with how much time it gives them to react to Blaze E when you're actually casting it at distance. So anything like Expulsion Zone, you're going to run into these same things that Zarya just loves to play in terms of that telegraph damage that we were talking about. Don't spoil the outcome, Weird. This isn't a cast, brother. Can you imagine just pulling up like, hey guys, what's up? Today we're casting some random ass game from like 2 years ago or whatever. That's not this one, that was the CCL games, but still. Today we're casting MVP versus the One. Split 2, week 3, game 4, nothing else. Oh, and then look, notice I talked about how Blaze can't go through enemies. As soon as they ganked him, everybody went and hopped onto the right side of the Blaze there. This is something where I think, especially in SL, Blaze can feel like he has less weaknesses than he does because nobody goes for body blocks. Nobody goes for body blocks in that environment, but when you actually go against these players that get onto the correct side of a Blaze when they're aggressing onto him, all of a sudden, see, I was about to call out that he should have gone for the expulsion, and he did, but it got interrupted. But all of a sudden, when you start doing that to Blaze, he just feels so much more killable. So we're still holding that expulsion here, but they don't need to go crazy. They have the control over the actual area of the objective and can just burn it out. Hey, good evening, Michaela. Good evening, everybody in here. That's been saying hi and welcome back and everything. I've been reading your messages and they're great. Is this actually Pain is temporary? I didn't even notice the active until just now. Looks like it is, yeah. So this talent was buffed a little while ago, and I believe that because this is the more recent replay, that this is the post-buff version. This just gives you a gigantic shield, bro. The Punisher starts on a 5-second cooldown on its jump, but that's going to be relevant here soon. Get a shield off before you die. Hey. Wait, does he die? Yes. This is, what kind of Benny Hill ass team fight am I watching? All right, let's look at this from their actual perspective here, because this looks pretty greedy. I like the decision by the other team here. I think they're coming from the right side. Yeah, because they know the tank is going to be watching this angle, and they get a little bit more leeway to jump onto the back line here. But this is pretty greedy by them, if you ask me. Because I guess they're just assuming that red side is going to want that bottom neutral camp instead, but if they can get all of them, oh, especially with the cocoon. Oh, but they did get it though, the expulsion. Wait, that's actually nutty. ETC just dies, right? There's no way. I feel like he should have just eaten that. That Stukov E wasn't really doing anything, and he wasn't going to get out of it, and it was just costing him damage. Oh, I love just getting disked and hearing everybody else get to play the game. Like your goddamn Squidward in his tiki house. This is Raven Court Captain's Draft late 2023. Oh, okay. I don't know why I thought this was way more recent. Thank you. Yeah, that was actually a really good cocoon dodge. I did not even notice that with the ice block. That's crazy. So actually, now that you point that out, let's go ahead and watch this again. So this is something that I saw some people talking about in Cavalier Guest Discord, which are these specific indicators that they use to watch certain abilities that you need to react to as fast as possible. And this is one that I've thought about a ton for Anubrak's Cocoon. Because like we all remember, anybody that watched the HGC days knows that in those days, Li Ming would get picked into Anubrak quite a bit because you just kind of invalidated Cocoon as an ability. If the Anubrak cocooned you, you would dodge it with teleport and it would go on full cooldown, it wouldn't do anything. If he placed it on anybody else, you would disintegrate the cocoon, and then it's effectively still wasted. They changed that so that it doesn't do that anymore. You still get cocooned if you teleport it now. But similarly, if I, as a tracer, have a cocoon going towards me and I recall, it goes on full cooldown. Yet if Jaina ice blocks it, it doesn't, because he uses it later in this fight, right? Like, I don't think the full cooldown wore off by then. So we see him use it here. But look at this, guys. This is the graphic that I specifically look out for, that I was mentioning a second ago, when I am trying to dodge cocoons. I'm looking for this web that goes all around my hitbox. And to my understanding, this is actually easier to see the smaller that your hitbox is, because I think this web is the same size no matter what character you're playing. So if you're playing like Asmo, you know, you're going to see relatively less of it, to my understanding. But maybe I'm just BSing that. But does this really reset the cooldown if you ice block a cocoon? No, it's on full cooldown. Oh, I guess just a ton of time passed while we were watching. Okay. Also, by the way, I talked to another player about this, and when I brought this up, he said that what he looks out for is for the Anubrak suddenly turning and snapping to face towards you, which he does as he casts the cocoon. I heard that and I was like, ah, that's genius. If the Anubrak isn't already looking at you, because obviously that's not really going to do much if he's already facing you. But like right here, this is something that I think really throws off the fight, is when he starts to like awkwardly walk out of the silence and then like stays in it and auto attacks and is like, eh. All right, so then by this, holy shit, what the fuck happened on this side of the fight? Why is Dino 3 million HP and they're just dead already? What the fuck happened? Okay, I'm over here looking at the left side the whole time. Okay, so he walks all the way out of the silence, and then he chills Lopaka. And then I'm assuming he just pops his 1 or his 2 and goes crazy here. Icy Veins? Yeah, Icy Veins, E. W on the Stukov that's standing still, E. E. Yeah, he's just getting double E cast for the full resets with Icy Veins, because the Tychus is standing right on top of the Stukov. I'm wondering, should the Stukov have canceled his E earlier? Let's look at this. Because he has the lingering E. I guess he thinks like his mindset is like, oh, I'm zoning these guys. But right here, is this E really doing anything for you at this point that isn't going to also be served by Or does he have the linger? Am I making this up? Sorry, my mouse is so cannot be channeled for longer than 3 seconds. That's what it is. Yeah. Oh, he gets the reset and he goes for it again. When really, what if he just ults the Jaina there? I wonder how different that fight looks if he does that instead of goes to the reset, but not a ton to talk about from the Zarya perspective here, because this fight just ends up being about what the Jaina does in the backline. It's a really good stun by Cure. Nice.
Very impressive.
Alright. So then here... Yeah, I mean, whenever the minions tend to stack up in these vertical lines, and I like to get to the side of them and just auto-attack straight through them. The globe! Does this make anybody else, like, physically pained, or is it just me? I see shit like this happen, and I'm just like, ugh! He's positioning really conservatively, but I feel like maybe too conservative, given that they had 3 dead and 1 visible. Ooh, whoa, why didn't Maiev take that E? It's not like she's unstopped 13 either. I thought we were about to stay there and look for the expulsion play on the hallway, but no, this works too, I guess. And he has Pain as temporary, gonna pop it when he gets out of the thing, maybe? Not actually in that much danger. Oh, it still pops it, and understandable. Yeah, I mean, these cocoons just do so little versus the Zarya. Like, am I wrong to think that they just need to go on the Zarya? They still want to play this? I get that they have lane advantage topside, but I'm not sure why they're sticking around pinging for the 4v5 here. Is this just mega greed? Like I said, you know, I don't want to just sit here and be like, oh, these guys did this or that wrong. Every player in this lobby is probably way better than I am by a country mile and a half. But I am honestly puzzled by the decision to stick around here and start pinging and looking for the fight right after losing their ETC. Hogger still has his shockwave, but Tychus ult comes up in 5 seconds. I don't think they're super considering the Odin, because they're like, oh, Tychus isn't gonna pop Odin for this skirmish. So maybe it's like we have ult advantage? It just seems greedy to me, but I don't know. Like I said, these guys are way better than I am. Ooh, what are we doing? I'm just trying to wait for the Zarya to come back. What are we doing? Because, like, what gets me about this kind of scouting in particular is, like, even if you see them, what is that really, what can you do with that information? You know what I mean? Like, it seems like all risk, no reward. Huh. Yeah, and see, then I would call, like, I would want to play the triangle down here, which is what I call these 3 camps, but with your tank dead, you're just so much less willing to take any aggro moves here. And then, yep, there's the cocoon actually on the Zarya. But they just back off. I mean, yeah, they're happy to run away. They don't really want to take an even fight for no reason when they just get an objective here, and all they have to do is make your life awkward. Are they missing a player? Like, I'm wondering, why is Chili Mountain on different pages here? Or not Chili Mountain, I just saw CM on Maka and just called it Chili Mountain. Like, why are they on such different pages here? This has to be a miscommunication, right? Because, like, Maka lands the disc, and then Mopsio's looking for the engage over the wall, and then Maka just starts dueling Dino? This is the part that doesn't make sense to me, because I saw this from the perspective of, okay, they full Anub comboed my teammate inside an Anubarak silence. Why are they not dying? And I'm just wondering to myself, if Maiev hops this wall right here, instead of going to duel the Dino, if she goes over at the same time as the Anubarak, or even like a half second to a second later, and Tychus just walks forward and D's instead of popping Odin, this Hogger here dies like every single time, right? Am I crazy? Yo, Shimes in the house, what's up? Oh, wow, that was really close to an insane pin. It's kind of similar to Keg in a way, where like if you press somebody into a wall, you can essentially just perma-stun them. But it was a little too far. Still sets up the kill though, it looks like. The shockwave too is a mean part of that combo. Do they have plans to defend? Did they lose keep unnecessarily here? There's no way, right? Yeah, there's no way. I was gonna say he's super loose with the Qs, and then I realized, oh, he's Q20. So that's interesting. This is something that I hadn't really considered he was going to do. I don't think I've ever done this where I go Q20 without being like Q1 at the same time. I'm wondering, is this like a Shrines specific thing that you do that it just lets you clear out the objective really consistently? Because this objective is all about, not all about, but it very heavily rewards like sniping these from the other player. All right, let's go ahead and back this up and actually play it at a normal speed here. But yeah, I mean, those Qs just, he's able to follow up at such distance because of them. This Odin's dead every time here, right? Oh, okay. Yeah, love it. See, look at how Dino immediately gets under Cure there. And just look at the uptime on the energy and on the aggression, just always trying to step up and get some damage. This is why she's such a good component in Globe Comp. Just saying, y'all should play some Globe Comp. It's really good. Loving the discipline to step up and get energy off the fort and then immediately back off. And I want to pay special attention here to the kind of macro that he's getting. Because look at that contribution to that siege camp with the Q20. And then let's look at how fast he clears through this objective with it as well. It's also essentially permanent vision to have all those Qs. Oh wow, I'm wondering if Mopsio intentionally timed that Q so as to prevent Rutzou from being able to snipe the objective last hits. If so, well done, Mopsio. Wow, this is 1 to 15. Good lord. Also, it's interesting, if you notice there was an animation that played where Zarya's Q, she has a different one if she casts it at very short range. And again, why are these cocoons going on anybody that's not Zarya? That's what I don't understand. I don't know if it's a misclick or what, because that was pretty close. But you guys can see, like, a noob just has this miserable matchup into her. And she isn't even unstoppable for the cocoon. God, that's oppressive, dude. He can't even get away. Oh no. This is something I might have to start considering. Because that macro contribution in particular from the Grenadier was so nuts, but also the ability to follow up on his team. Because like we saw a moment over here where he was way back here and there was a whole lurking arm in between him and the fight that caused him to actually still be able to contribute. Or the 20 caused him to still be able to contribute even through it. That is an early leave by Mopsio. Is that a tilt thing? If the core is still above 50% and you're clearly going to lose, but you just escape and quit instead of letting the game time it out? To me, I'm like, what difference does getting those 10 seconds make, you know? That feels like a tilt thing to me, but I don't know. You still get lever in customs? No, dude, imagine. Imagine. A little bit in review here. In this first game that we saw from CCL, just really punishing Zarya ever trying to retreat out of a fight. The instant that Zarya ever overstepped a little bit, she couldn't get herself back out. Between the Entomb, between the Umbral Bind, just all of that. Whereas here, we're sort of compensating for Malfurion's weaknesses as a character. We are overcoming the spam of the Lurking Arm into our rather sort of clumpy lineup by going the Q20 so we can still follow up anyway by getting around it so that we can clear out the objective better. We're just obliterating every cocoon ever that's not pressed on us, and then even when it does get pressed on us, Jaina just kills everybody, so it just doesn't matter. But I had a lot of fun watching those two games. Let's go on over to this one, where to my understanding from what Cav said, I believe that this is a Q build Zarya game. in which case she is countering a hammer, because of course you're never going to auto attack trade into a hammer, right? You gotta poke her down, you gotta dive her, all that kind of good stuff, but you're not gonna sit there and actually just take damage trades with her. Is it just me that thinks colorblind mode looks a million times better in HOTS? Like, that orange is just so much easier on the eyes, am I wrong? Like, orange and blue has like this nice contrast to it. There's a reason why every movie poster wants to put orange and blue on that thing. Whereas the red is just ugly. I will say though, I do like the orange from colorblind mode, but I don't like how it turns all the purples brown. Like, Tomb just looks really brown after you turn it on. This is good protection. That is the buggiest audio of all time, but good protection on the hammer split push on the cheese right there by the orange side team. And Rutzou just trying to get all the Q stacks that he can right off the bat. I'm a little surprised, honestly, by not going for stacks off the tower. Because we see the Johanna mid lane. Yeah, see, here we go. And the hammer just feeding straight into it. I don't know if that's the move. But I tried to bring a nice little slate of a couple different games for you guys to see here. I'm curious why he didn't like the position of attacking the camp from above it and wanted to do from below. I don't know if it's to not clump onto the Chromie. Notice, so you want to tank 3 tower shots to burn through the whole shield. If you want to just get like a mostly economical shield, 2 is fine, but to get through the whole thing, you tank 3 tower shots. And he tanked both towers so that he didn't need to stand in them for as long. That was a good move. Going straight onto the hammer there, that knockback is gigantic. The damage is just so spread out though, and wow, you're really committing to this? You see the HP bars. Just from the numbers I was scared, but no, then you actually look at how low everybody is and it makes perfect sense. I'm really curious. Mock coming back to HOTS shows he was never sane. Dude, if you're still thinking about this game and watching streams about it and talking about it in the year of our Lord and Savior 2025, you're either doing it for the love of the game or because something is wrong with you. And unfortunately, a ton of people seem to be in that latter camp, dude. I see people that log on to Blizzard's Heroes of the Storm. I was gonna say he was almost missing that globe. I see people, the globe! All right, no, that's cool. That's cool. Captain Rex got it. I see people that log on to Blizzard's Heroes of the Storm and complain about it every goddamn day. And I'm like, my brother, nobody is forcing you to play this. Blizzard didn't even believe in it. All right? At least the executives. Read a book. Touch some grass. I'm here because I think this is the best game of all time. Peak, as the youth say. Also, similar thing with last game. I wonder how much Q build feels nice in terms of controlling the objective and sniping them from the other players. Damn, that is a bunch of damage. You know, as soon as I can get on that Chromie, she just can't shake off an Arthas at all. It's kind of similar story with what we were talking about with Zarya, just any of those characters that can't really back up. I guess, yeah, I thought about the Q build in terms of the hammer, but also it makes sense into Arthas. It's not like you're ever going to really get the ability to trade melee into Arthas either. And then I assume, yeah, we're speed barrier. I don't know why I didn't even really talk about it before this point, but anytime I see Garrosh Zarya, I just kind of assume that that's what you're going for. Because, you know, Garrosh, his whole big weakness as a character is the combination of just negative mobility and range at the same time. And then you give him that move speed and it just nearly solves the problem. It feels good to be talking to y'all again. I know that I've had my hiatuses over the years, and I don't know how long it'll be till the next stream, but I want y'all to know I really appreciate this scene in this space. What did we burn shield on? Hold on, let me see this again. So we put it on Dino to get energy, and that was right as... Can someone tell me, how should I refer to this Garrosh player? Because there's no way that every time I want to talk about this person, I gotta go, Johan, you know, it's not gonna happen. Misses the EQ combo, so I'm wondering... Yes, that's something that I've done pretty frequently when I'm playing E1 as well, where you throw it at a weird angle and your Q isn't perfectly aligned with your E, and then you don't actually get your own knock-up combo. Like, I think you need to cast Q, like, right on the E for it to land every time, but that's just conjecture. But that was a little bit unfortunate, and I'm wondering if there was an element of miscommunication where Rutzou perhaps wasn't fully aware that his Garrosh was about to do that and should have shielded him instead of the Chromie for energy. So I assume we shield Dino here, right? For energy? We shield ourselves here because we're tanking? See, this is what I mean about... I'm just continually noticing how, even though he has Together We Are Strong, he is really tight with those E-casts. And doesn't want to put it on cooldown when there's a potential of fighting. You know, in Korean, they actually call her Johanna. And I'm like, I feel like that should just be how it's said, am I wrong? Something I'm also really curious about is this rune tap pick right here. I do not... I guess there's not a ton of effects that Icebound Fortitude here are particularly... I mean, into the Emerald Dreams, though, it seems like it would be a big difference maker. Because Garrosh is a silence for his big CC, so that's not going to be super relevant. Yeah, I'm noticing a pattern here of Rutzou having moments where I think he should check bushes with his Q, and he doesn't. I mean, what's that gonna do? Okay, hold on. I said, what's that gonna do? And then they set up the body block. Hey, they set up the body block and the loot horde. Never mind. Dude, all of these games have been the story of just punishing these heroes with no escape. Y'all gotta play some Tracer, man. It just hurts watching y'all get put into these situations that you can't get out of because you don't have 90 get out of jail free cards built into your character's kit. Y'all have no idea what you're missing out on, dude. Join the dark side. I'm also noticing really here and during this play is how much he's holding on to Expulsion. Because similar thing, I would have already E'd in that scenario before it would have gone on Garrosh and then gotten some energy, but my team wouldn't have been able to make that dive play because I wouldn't have saved my E like he did. But also, I'm pretty sure I would have thrown Expulsion when they were going for this play here, but then he ended up not using it. They recognize that their Hogger's already done with it. It makes sense that he would go onto this fort. I feel like I would have played the camp and that would have been a misplay. Would it have been a misplay? I mean, with Together We Are Strong, you build so much energy doing it that maybe the camp was actually right. I'm not sure what the Chromie was doing there. Yo, burn these spider mines. Oh, tank them. What am I saying? What? Why would you burn them? You can just tank them. I'm so goofy. But man, this dude holds his abilities. Like right there, I would have gone for the Expulsion every time on this gate, and I feel like it would have happened, honestly. Because it's not like the hammer can unstoppable and then run through it. If she leaves siege mode, she loses the unstop. I guess she could maybe unstop, and with hover, she'll be fine. So that was probably why. Here, surely you press it to the right of them, right? Surely? Or just maybe here, something? There you go. We have the easy chase trying to land those pinpoints. Hogger is a very fair character. And then, yeah, he's pinging because he wants the energy. He's like, dude, walk under one of these, please. And then now he wants to tank it himself. Yep, so he stepped up closest. Now he's gonna flip himself out for somebody else to tank it. No, he's still holding his E, like we've talked about. He's not gonna put it on cooldown just in case there's a big fight until he sees the opportunity. Yeah, it's just way more important to have it available for the speed barrier combo than to build energy off of it. One thing to note is that the team is in comms and can say we're gonna do such and such soon. Are you sure? I don't think that's true. I don't think these people know each other. I'm pretty sure this is a quick match game. Expulsion on the mouth here every time. Yeah, damn. Damn, okay. Just kind of got caught here. Let's go ahead and run that back. Oh, not competitive. This is competitive, yes. What happened here? Okay, so we just throw in Arthas directly into our mouth Chromie is what happens? Oh wait, that is actually... Okay, no, he taunts the mouth. Ah, I see. Captain Rex runs right instead of towards the Chromie. I don't know if he wants to space out from the Chromie, but there's no advantage to be gained from going there. Yeah, and then gets blessed shielded, which also bounces onto the Chromie. Yeah, I think that's mostly just the positioning issue. If he goes left, that looks fine. And then by this point, the fight's just kind of over. Yeah, just looking to get those pinpoints onto the hammer, but they don't really do anything. Oh. Surely you expulsion. Surely. Yeah. He's so much more patient than me, but I feel like the peel sometimes can stand to come out sooner. But then, I mean, I don't know if it would have saved the mouth, and it didn't make a difference with the Hogger, so maybe I'm just wrong there, and he's better about recognizing when it's not needing to be used. Yeah, here there's no realistic expectation that they're going to get attacked. Still doesn't want to pop the W for the self-energy gain. Yeah, and they just want to go play the objective. Low-key, do they need to play the objective here? Like, what if they just took all the camps and pushed? Am I crazy? That seems really good to me. It's like, by the time they get here, they're already down so much. And it's only 15. I'm saying it like it's a crazy amount. Yeah, shield the Hogger? No? Shield the Garrosh? Shield the mouth, yeah. Good lord. I don't know, their positioning just seems kind of like weirdly clumpy. I keep wondering like how their backliners are consistently getting threatened. Like I'm consistently seeing Artha's pressure on the mouth Chromie here. I wanna look at this fight from that angle to understand it. So our mouth walks up into the Artha's area here. It looks like to get a max range W. Our Hogger spins, cancels it, gets clumped up. What? Why is this guy so far up? Wait, I completely missed that. How did the mouth slip that far up? Let's hear. I want to get this off of Zarya. Keeps moving my camera. So look, like this is already too far up to land that W. But how does he get from here to next to his tank? Oh, that's how. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I want to talk more about the Zarya, but I just feel like the last two fights were Captain Rex getting caught. And then, you know, it's all just sort of trying to scrape by whatever you can at that point. Yeah, I like the expulsion to the right side of the Arthas there. No mobility to get around it. Garrosh, just hold on. I will say this does mirror some of my experiences trying to run Zarya Garrosh, where it feels like it directly correlates to how good your kill pressure is coming off of the throw. And I question Chromie as that other piece. Like, if you're throwing people at a Tychus, at a Jaina, you know, like, do it all day long, right? Throw them in. But if you're throwing people at a Chromie, they don't pop. You know, like, I look at this, I'm like, they don't pop. 8:30 is late, are you sure you're not older than me? Brother, I look outside and it's completely dark. Alright? I don't care what your clock says, okay? My mouse is dead, I can't move the camera, there we go. I don't care what your clock says, brother, alright? I'm talking about my mammalian instincts to go retreat into my cave. Because it is dark outside and I cannot see berries. I like that E by the Hogger there. Although it cost him a bunch of wave clear to not have it for that, but I guess it actually didn't because he just deletes that. I don't play Hogger. Time traveler from 1631. Okay, brother. Ah, damn, tried to stall the camp. See, one thing that you can do that's kind of similar to the play that Rutzou was attempting here that I like is, as Stitches, you can hook the camp over the wall. And then they can't kill it because the thing's way over there. You've got it now. Oh, see, look, if Decimate is present there, then they get that kill, because he was in Decimate range to dismount. I don't know, I'm a big Decimate fanboy, even in competitive. I think it just alleviates Garrosh's range limitations to such a large degree, and it has such absurdly strong level 20 scaling. Even into this enemy team, I was gonna say the hammer makes me question how good the 20 is, but the decimate 20 is gonna be really effective into everybody else on that team. Yeah, we're just gonna sit around, they're gonna do their camps, play really conservative until they get 20. And the Garrosh, you see the Garrosh going for the deep warding here? It's because they're cognizant of the fact that the enemy team has the advantage, so they're gonna do something aggressive with it. You see so many teams get 20 and they do nothing aggressive while they have the advantage. And basically their only options in that regard are to either push down this mid fort or take that bruiser camp, so hence the Garrosh positioning. Now that we see them locking into that play, the Garrosh dropped that position. This is going to be such a different game the instant that Rutzou hits 20, and then he just starts getting Qs as much as he wants, though. And that was good by the Zarya, or by the hammer there to stop the auto attack stream. But look, now at this point, he just has Qs the entire rest of the game. You can press it literally on cooldown when you have the Q1 quest completed and the Q20. Notice the Johanna's HP just completely going down after that. Wow, he is shredding Ultralisk. Oh my goodness. Ultralisk, you can't siege back up. Yeah, see, he just had to run. Dude, look at this. Literally, the instant they hit 20, this enemy team that has 4 melee and a hammer just suddenly is so awkward. Oh my goodness. I really gotta put more consideration into Q20 Zarya. Because now this is 2 games that we've seen it, and I only expected to see Q20 in the hammer game right here.
Wait, wasn't that supposed to be the tough one?
Little bit of a disconnect there where I think he expected Dino to tank, and he threw E on Dino for the energy, but it was actually the time trap that tanked. Held aggro for a very long time there. Oh, and then shielded the wrong person again. That's awkward. Do you invade here? Because my conventional logic would be, no, you push while you have wave, and then invade after. Wow, that was a really good flank by the Garrosh there. Why didn't he press the ability? Wait, what was that from the Garrosh? I'm really curious to see that again. So he lands the Q. Oh, it's the unstop. I completely missed that. Oh, yeah. And he saw the unstop go away and then tried to react at the taunt, but it was too late. This makes me wonder, there's no way this was played on American ping, right? This looks like a full European lobby, I'm pretty sure, so I think it's just a reaction time thing, and a good play by Ultralisk. Yeah, and keeping your bruiser camp alive is about as good as taking one and having the other one die. Loving the constant Q pressure. Because that's the thing about hammer that I tell people, is like, you have to choose between being able to ignore poke or being able to like resist kill pressure better with the unstop. And the hammer chose the unstop option, so that poke just is such a drag to play against. Expulsion surely gets thrown here. A little awkward, too far to the left, but that's good. It's like, we know the enemy team wants to retreat towards their base if they get low, so my logic was put it on the right side. Shield the Garrosh here, maybe? Because when a Garrosh is low, he's super tanky with that shield because the armor is multiplying the value. Good lord. Yeah, I mean, I think the other team just can't let this game go 20, right? Like, the instant this hammer comp has to play into double poke like that, they just lose. I didn't like how every fight looked when they actually got the throw off, because, like, Johan would keep throwing people into the back line, and then it would look awkward. But I say that, and I feel like that's unfair, because I feel like the only time I remember that actually going wrong was when Captain Rex just kind of ran into the enemy team after the throw. And I feel like outside of that, it actually worked out pretty well. I don't know about y'all. I was originally, when I had announced this, only going to do 2 replays, but I'm having fun. I want to do at least 3. I don't know if we're going to get that 4th one done. No, that was 3 games. Oh my goodness. We're going to do all 4. We're going to do all 4, my friends. Let's go. Just curious, y'all, can I get a quick viewer check? I usually have it turned off. I see 3, 67, and 10,000. One of these is clearly the correct answer. And I gotta say, the other 9,000 of y'all that aren't chatting really need to step up your game, alright? But I have a stadium of people watching on my monitor. Mockery, you don't understand. Yes, it may say that you have 11 viewers, but I've actually invited my entire village. We're all centered around my TV in the courtyard. Wine is being passed around, and there is an air of great merriment in the village. For we've all been waiting with bated breath for the next stream. Another game of Together We Are Strong. I think that's all 4 games that I've watched being on Together We Are Strong. And so that is one of the major reconsiderations I'm making about my own Zarya gameplay, for sure. I brought it up a few times at this point, but I think I've just been way too greedy with using it for energy, and I've probably let that troll my shield casting, and if I was a little bit more disciplined like Rutzou, I bet it would go a lot better. I have... Can we talk about this this oxygen draft right here? I'm not sure if Cav is still in the chat, but Cav, if you are, I'm sorry, but what the f is going on with this plan here? I don't see any kill pressure off of the stitches, and I'm not exactly sure what the plan is. Oh my god, you guys can't see the fucking game. It's still on the starting soon screen. Actually, just the bronzest streamer alive. Hold on. Well, I'm looking at a frog I see in the chat. But like, so I'm looking at this draft, guys, and is it just me, or does stitches make absolutely zero sense here? Your hooks are gonna get intercepted by an unstoppable Garrosh. They're harder to land because you're against a Lucio who also has a cleanse button. People can get thrown even out of the hooks. They're gonna get Zarya shielded when they get pulled into your team. And you have two DPS who both are absolutely terrible at killing the hooked target. I don't fully understand what's going on here from the left side's perspective. But my brain is very small and smooth, roughly resembling an egg. I like the instantaneous response by Nasmus to the gank there. And yeah, you know, make the other team step up and duel you for this one. You know that you have the early game kill pressure advantage. What is the what? Does he have more teammates behind him? No, wait. I guess he just didn't respect how fast they were going to clear that, especially given the fact that Zarya's Together We Are Strong, so her energy generation while she's in PvE is really strong. Stitches is just a deny ban for Mephisto. You know what? That's actually valid. I assume that this is going to be a bio build, Stitches. The one, of course, indicates that. But also just the fact that they don't really have amazing Gorge kill pressure. 4 we already know is going to be Speed Barrier. We're playing with a Garrosh. I assume that like any minor overlap with Lucio is not enough to dissuade us from making the pick. Neural Stimpack into Oil. See, this Blaze is going a combo that I would go when I felt that nanomachine coding would really carry a game. Outside of that, I didn't really go that. That's interesting. I'm really curious what's going on with the Oil Dispersal pick. Because just the pure slow value seems really nice into them, but... yeah, popping the shield and then walking into the lurking arm. Love it. That was a lot of damage taken by the team with no E-casts, and again, just gauging whether or not it's necessary. It's really aggro position, but you're just not afraid of that early game Lunara's kill pressure at all. Like if that was a gray main instead of Lunara, you'd never think to step up aggro like that while they auto attack, I feel like, but that pre-7 Lunara, she might as well be massaging you, dude. And yeah, I was gonna say, I assume we tank this wave outside of towers. Minions hit heroes a lot less than they hit buildings. Minions deal triple damage to buildings and regular damage to everything else. So when you tank for your wave, they're just doing way less total damage, but also, especially for Zarya, you're building that energy. I feel like I would have gone for the tower soak here, or just prioritizing the wave instead. I think their punish is limited compared to if they have like something like a Diablo. Interesting, the speed actually onto the Vala there because the throw was already fully secured. Ton of repositioning. Oh, that shield is so clutch. And that's what's so fun about playing shields plus Garrosh, is that if you ever shield him when he's like 5%, that shield is invulnerable, it feels like, because it has all that armor the whole way through. Yeah, he's just trying to block those hooks, trying to make sure. That's something that I will say I kind of get frustrated by when I see people do it in SL, is I feel like they try to all turn in at the same time, when really you have to take turns in those contested scenarios where it's like, okay, I contest, you turn, you contest, or I turn, you know, like you zone, I turn, I zone, you turn. Seemed a little premature on shielding the Garrosh there. They have a significant advantage on the way to 10 at the moment. I want to see if they're able to press that right in the moment of getting it. Also, didn't go for any energy off the wall there, just sprinting straight to top for that kill pressure. Makes perfect sense to go for the kill participation. I'm a little surprised at no expulsion, but again, it's completely unnecessary when you have a Vala that's just able to chase him. Did he die with D up? No. Yep. Expulsion's just gonna be nutty versus those. Guard the gems! Wait, did they bait? Wait, did they bait Heavy out of his mind by looking like they weren't guarding the gems? That's amazing. Like, okay, so it is the Gorge angle. Because I guess they feel like that's the only angle they can get kills, but no, even that way! Even that way it doesn't work. Dude, I hate the Stitches pick here. I understand you don't want your Mephisto to get gorged, but I feel like Gorge is way less of a counter than something like Time Loop is because of the positional requirements. Whereas like Mephisto can go move speed and just not melee the Stitches. They landed a Gorge play and still didn't get a kill off of it. Like, I really hate the Stitches pick here. Damn, that shield got popped immediately. There's an expulsion maybe on the angle. Like, I was thinking, yeah, you put it on this bush right here, right? And you catch these people here? No, it's up here. Okay, okay. Really good shield right there to get him out. I like the oil too, the oil contribution by Dequaza right at the edge of his range. And that's the thing about these Zarya games too, is that I just feel like you have such ability to end the game between the ability to tank buildings so freely and also to do so much damage to them, that I'm never worried about like not having a ton of buildings down. And even then, this is still a great building situation to be in. It's just the thought that comes to mind. And so look, they get another Gorge play here. Call it right now, chat. Call it right now. Does this Gorge play work? I'm gonna go ahead and give it a fat no. All right, because it's just garbage conceptually in this comp. I don't see how they ever get the kill here. No? Are we all in agreement? Not gonna lie, if I was Stitches and this was my comp, I'm FFing. I'm fully in agreement with you, buddy. I look at this and I'm like, even when you land hooks, even in the best case scenario, what the fuck is gonna happen? All right, let's see it. There's Dequaza, he gets in the bunker. His team is here. Whoa, Garrosh gets in over the wall, okay. This is actually kind of wild. Okay, okay, the rehook. Okay, wait. That throw on the Stitches has me questioning things. Slick Rub, thank you for the sub. 11 months, hey, so close to a year. Nice self-unstop. Oh yeah, dude, both the Zarya and the Garrosh now have self-unstop to block the hooks. I'm sorry, but what did Vince do in his mortal life that was so bad that condemned him to this experience? Like, is this guy a murderer? Was he a Vikings player? Like, what did he do that made him deserve this? He picked Stitches. That's what seems good. All right, well, the Zarya Garrosh train is just chugging along. I'm loving a little bit of the variety that we've seen in these games. Like, every game has been a pinpoint. I think the 4 has been a little bit different in that we've had 2 speed barrier and 2 not, if I remember correctly, for the 4. Pretty sure it's cleansing shield every time here. Oh, the lurking arm. That's such an interesting play. Hebe dropping the lurking arm before the hook goes out because Vince isn't afraid of it due to his ability to react to it with the self unstop. And then again, Hebe zoning with the silence here. That was legitimately good Gorge play. The problem is that it depends upon having your buildings. Like, Gorge just in general, and Stitches in general, but especially Gorge, scales with your building advantage. So, yeah, he got that play there, but their ability to do those is rapidly going down the toilet as they lose these walls. Colin Mockery is legitimately the homie, though. I'm so glad that, like, I picked a name for my guy from him. Because imagine if I pick this name, right, and then it comes out like Colin Mockery, 3,000 dead puppies in his basement. You know, like, you know how much that would suck? Alright, so the Vala's dead as they contest this boss here. But they're still gonna go ahead and make the play. Let's zoom that camera out. I think Expulsion gets dropped too early to use it actually on the actual point. Yeah, there it is. They're trying to zone. He gets the Stukov out of the fight. I think he would have ideally had the Lunara on the other end as well. That Garrosh is just gonna melt, yeah. Oh, 1 for 1, not terrible. And the boss actually leashed. This is actually a great result coming out of the situation they found themselves in so far. 2 for 2, still pretty damn good given where they were. And then now they're able to run them down thanks to the speed barrier. Wow. That's actually kind of nutty, okay. So now with the double camp advantage, surely they can threaten this boss. And the fact that they have like a Zarya for the camp pressure. Did they just take it uncontested? That's what it certainly looks like. Yeah, I mean, into the enemy web weavers is fine. We take that every time because now they're just going to have 20 advantage. They don't have enough for turn-in. A little bit of a life hack for anybody in the chat here. These graphics in the bottom right, they glow when the amount of gems being held by that team is enough to complete the turn-in. You'll see a glow over that whole side of the graphic. See, look, you can see the red gems glowing now over here. Nice little way to know without having to do math. Oh, yep, Vince just gets caught out, and that's all it takes, yeah. And I would love somebody to play these Zarya Garrosh games with. Okay, and see, this is what I expected to see most of the games actually being, and if I remember correctly from Rutzou's guide, this is what he said, is that Unyielding Defender was the 20 that he preferred in his games. And then, wow, he saved that for when Lauber was really, really low, when that shield is at its biggest before he finally popped it. Rutzou is disciplined with these cooldowns, man. Rutzou holds them. Yeah, and then by that point, they just got him. Yep. I was saying before how I like Decimate in that other game, but I'm seeing all the taunt value this game too. I'm wondering specifically about which 10 Garrosh should go when you're running this combo. Because I still see why you'd want Decimate, but taunt, if you just know you'll be able to get that invade, god damn, Mephisto is annoying as hell. And at this point, you can just play the game so slow, right? Like, you don't need to risk anything. You can just let that Lucio get the AoE healing value. Wow, you're still going for it? Am I crazy, or is playing for a kill here like the only possible way you throw? But you do have 5v4, it's just, I feel like this is the only way you throw compared to playing for all the camps here. And you can still just 5v4 though. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if I'm a player that sort of does the classic problem of avoiding losing more than playing to win. But there I think it just makes sense. Like if you take every camp on the map and just end up pushing with your own bruisers, but I guess 5v4 is a bigger advantage. Okay, wait, wait a minute. So I was like, surely they're about to end as they push into the core. And I didn't even think, I was like, yeah, I was wrong about the maybe this is how you throw thing, they're just gonna end. And then I'm like, wait a minute, why are there 3 more minutes in this replay? I actually feel so vindicated now because I was saying that completely unaware of the status of the replay. No, I was right, damn it. This is the only way that they could have possibly thrown. Now, of course, they're so far ahead that it takes more than just this to lose the game. But still, damn it, they should have played that slow. They had low HP. They were guaranteed the advantage leading into the next thing. Not like it makes much difference, but still. IB Ting's wanting to avoid any potential invade plays on him. Makes sense. It's disciplined play right there. Nazmus holding off on the capture until his team is more along on boss. I wonder if this boss is... how late this boss is going to be relative to the objective, given that. Or is it going to be really well timed here? Because he capped that way earlier than I normally would have capped a boss with an objective. But they're actually synced up pretty damn nicely. Look at that. Okay. Alright. Where was red side here? I'm just looking at blue side this whole time. Wait, what are we doing in the moments leading up to this? We're getting the mid clear, and we're letting our bruiser camp split push mid before we decide, okay, let's go ahead and defend boss. Let's defend top. Yeah, because the enemy team split and they had Nazmus middle, so if Nazmus didn't immediately rotate back, then that would have been a 5v4. Silence and Tomb. Oh, that Durance missed. And I think he was trying to interrupt the Durance with Expulsion, but it didn't go off in time. That's a massive clump, though. Good lord. Yeah, if Durance was landed off that Silence and Tomb, I think this looks like a totally different game. I really, really want to see that fight again. So we combo the Stitches into the backline. Got the shield going. Leoric goes above us, hits the Silence and Tomb. Durance is cast right here, so it's already going off. Wow. And it wouldn't have hit the blaze anyway because of the bunker. But it means that the Vala is able to run in and start hitting them right now when she would have been zoned by the Durance root. And then the blaze stun is just, yeah. I think as soon as that... Because if the Durance lands, then the blaze can't just pop out and charge in. He gets zoned by the Durance too. That's just so unfortunate for them. And then now it's actually over. Yeah. Oh, Vince, what did they put him in the timeout? Fucking timeout corner? What is that? Okay, so I'm really curious if I had the chance to talk to Rutzou about this, I would want to ask him how he makes his decisions about the 13 tier in particular, because we saw Pain as temporary before in a game where I was pretty sure he was going to go unstoppable, if I remember correctly. We see unstoppable here. Just generally a very, very strong talent that I think in competitive especially is probably what you'd see most of the time. I haven't really been keeping up with competitive since CCL died. But just discipline, discipline, discipline is the biggest thing I see with this guy. You can tell he's been around the block a few times and he just knows how these fights are going to go. Rutzou, how do you pick your 13s? Talk to me, buddy. I'm sure while you were watching this, you were like, oh my god, Mockery isn't picking up any of the details. He's missing all of the cool stuff I'm doing. Is there anything that you were seeing that you were thinking about as we went back and we watched those replays? That was a lot of fun, y'all. Gotta say thank you to everybody that was here. I'm sure that there was a million things that you were doing that I didn't pick up on. How bad I was now. Based. Everyone seems old to Mockery. See, this used to be an angle that made sense. People would be like, oh, Mockery is such a baby, because I would stream of stuff about this when I was in college. I'm a grown man. I'm 27 now. Alright? If you're calling me a baby and you're not collecting Social Security, I don't want to hear it. Yeah, I'm almost 30. Alright? So if I'm still young in your heart, in your brain, maybe look in the mirror. I think 20Q and 13 Pain is every game. Same with Together We Are Strong level 1. So that is so interesting. So 13 Pain is temporary, being able to drop all of your energy and turn it into shielding with percentage HP. And this is actually, by the way, guys, when we were watching that game that he was Pain, You may have noticed that was the old version of Pain is Temporary that did 0.5% of Zarya's max HP when he popped the button. Now this is 0.8, so it's significantly better than that game that you saw. And when people get better, people will hit her shields less. So like you need Together We Are Strong as you play against better opponents that don't just int energy to your shields. But 20Q and 13 Pain is every game, so like as in her modern state in the post buff era that we're in now where Pain is Temporary is 0.8%, you think we should always be going Pain is Temporary and the 20Q? That is interesting. What's going on with this 20Q instead of Unyielding Defender is what I want to know about. Did something change with the situation that caused you to think Grenadier is so good now? Or is it just that you've come around to the talent and that it's kind of always been really good? Because like we saw an Unyielding Defender game from you earlier today, for example. Come around to figure it out. It was probably always good if you can keep energy up. Yeah, and I mean, if you have Together We Are Strong, then of course you can keep energy up. Okay. Okay. So we're looking at Together We Are Strong. 4 is a flex tier. I think in that game we were watching, I saw you go Give Me 20 in the non-speed barrier game or two. Speed barrier. I personally go every Zarya 4 depending on the situation. I definitely find myself picking defensive shielding the least out of the 4 options. Her talents are very flexible compared to most heroes. That's what I was kind of thinking, yeah, although like, I don't know, like 10 and 7 feel pretty set to me. No, not 7. 7, you got the wave clear. I wouldn't be mad seeing people experiment. Oh yeah, dude. And I mean, that's the thing, right? Like I used to have some super strong opinions about Tracer talents myself. And then like I used to never pick Total Recall, you know, the healing on 20. And then I had a talk with Cavalier Guest talking about how it makes her a lot more forgiving and all that. And I actually picked it and I loved it so much that it's my default 20 now in most games. So for sure, I love that experimentation. I will say, I have found myself picking every Zarya 13 except Spell Armor in my SL games, which I'm sure are a very different vibe from this high-level European tournament environment. But so there's a lot of cool stuff to think about here and to experiment with here, Rutzou. So thank you very much for providing lovely material for us to work with here tonight and for answering a few questions here at the end. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching here with me. Please go out and play this character. She's very fun. Go out and win your games. And remember, if you do not win, it's because you have a bad example to learn from, okay? It is ultimately Rutzou's fault. And with that note, I'm going to start finding a person for us to raid here tonight. Thank you so much for being here. I've had a ton of fun. I've had a blast.